want to call the April 2nd, 2015 meeting of the Ascension Parish Council. Would everyone please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, as we enter this most holy weekend, we ask that you look down on everyone and take care of them and ask them to let God lead their hearts. Lord, it's with deep sympathy that we ask for special blessings on families in our parish that have had losses. We ask for you to keep the Clarence C.J. Powell family in your prayers. We ask that you keep the Langwall family in your prayers for the loss of Mr. Bryce Langwall. We ask that you keep all the Gautreaux family in your close together for the loss of Mr. Joe Gautreaux. We ask that you keep the family of Mr. Calvin and Miss Ruth Bro in your heart for the loss of their son Craig Bro. We ask that you keep all the LeBlanc family for the loss of Mr. Nolan LeBlanc Jr. and all the Sagana family for the loss of Miss Virginia Sagana. And we ask that you keep all the Moran family in your heart and close and look over them for the loss of Mr. Perry Moran. We ask that you keep the Dugard family in your prayers as they work through the struggles that Miss Eileen Dugard is having. And Lord, let's carry her through this holiday and this time. And Lord, last but not least, let's look upon all the elderly in Ascension Parish. Let's everyone look to each other and see who we can help as we move into our hurricane season. Lord, please protect us and give us strength. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that Councilman Johnson is working. All other members present. And I'd just like to say we have a special guest tonight. We have Miss Diana Sadley, the better half of our Dr. Sadley here. We wish him luck with the horses this weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair's additions, there's none. Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please check in with the Secretary and you'll be given time to speak when that agenda item comes up. Presentations, Parish President, we have a proclamation, April 2015 Child Abuse Prevention Month. Aaron Meir.
Aaron Meir up.
Ms. Meir?
Who is the granddaughter of Mr. Donnie Meir.
Yes, indeed.
Family. So,
and
she is taking our, I think since the beginning of my first term back here, Stephanie Breeden's been coming for this every year, and I hope she got a promotion and went to Livingston Parish, and so she's working in Livingston Parish. But Erin is the director here now. No,
just an
I'm trying to give you
a job,
promotion too. So. But anyways, it's always a pleasure and honor to do this one. To proclaim April 2015 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish. Whereas child abuse and neglect are complex and ongoing problems in our society, affecting many children in our community, and whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And whereas it is the responsibility of every adult who comes in contact with a child to protect that child's inalienable right to a safe and nurturing childhood. Whereas Ascension Parish has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child maltreatment and to help parents obtain the assistance they need. And whereas our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of child maltreatment prevention and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religions, and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas all citizens, community agencies, faith organizations, and businesses will work to increase their efforts to support families. Now therefore it be proclaimed, I, Tommy Morton, as President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, to hereon proclaim April 2015 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish. So I'm going to ask Ms. Mears if she'd like to say a few words and tell us about basically what's done here in the office in Gonzales. And if you ever want to go visit, it's right down Worthy Road. So.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Erin Meir. I'm a CASA Advocate Supervisor. What that means, I work with specially trained individuals, court-appointed special advocates. Every year, children through no fault of their own will enter the foster care system. In Ascension Parish alone, our advocates served 59 children this month, or last month rather. 73 children in Ascension, Assumption, and St. James, and 6 are still waiting for a volunteer. But the silver lining in all of that is that we've seen 11 kids adopted into permanent, loving homes. So it's through our incredible community partnerships and local governments that we're able to do what we do, and that's to give voice, healing, and security to children, to give them hope through our CASA program, and also through our Children's Advocacy Center. Children who disclose abuse or neglect have the opportunity to come in to do a forensic interview with a specially trained interviewer, and we do that in Gonzales. The interview is taped, and it's the understanding that perhaps they won't necessarily have to testify, which is really wonderful when you're a child and you tell your story once, it's videotaped, the police are there. So what we're doing in Gonzales on next Saturday is our Blue Run. It's our annual fundraiser, and it's a good time. We celebrate and we provide awareness to the community about what we do in our own agency, and also about what different things that they can do to prevent child abuse. It's everyone's responsibility. It's not just oh, somebody else will do it. It has to be every adult has to take some responsibility to protect our children. They are our future. They are our most valuable natural resource. So I'm thrilled that I've been able to come today to speak to you all, and thank you. Take that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Next, on behalf of Mayor Barney Arsenault, he asked that we announce and that they're going to have the music in the park for 4 straight Sundays. I think it's starting April 12th, and it'll be from 2 to 5 at Jambalaya Park in Gonzales. So if you have time over the next month, you can make one of the events. I think it would be good. And also, we are having Ascension Music Festival this year, and we're going to showcase local musicians. That's going to be on Saturday, April 18th, one-day event from 2 to 9. Nana Shah is going to close it out, and Van and Grace are going to make some, Broussard are going to make guest appearances. So it'll be a good day. We have several local bands that are going to be there, and it's just something that in conjunction with the Balloon Festival that the festival is going to do for another event to kind of keep things going and keep the word out. So if you get an opportunity, bring your lawn chair, bring your tent if you want to, and just come sit out and enjoy the afternoon and enjoy some good local music. I think it's going to be a fun time. So got a lot of events that come on this time of year. Of course, the Jambalaya Festival will be coming up Memorial Day weekend. So got a lot of things here to do in the next few months. So if you don't have anything to do, you can certainly keep busy on weekends. So anyway, and I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all of you a happy Easter and your families, and also all the citizens here in Ascension Parish. Been a good year, and Looking forward to the next 8 months, so 8 months from tomorrow, actually. So I'm not counting, but thank y'all.
Thank you, sir, and same to you and Teresa and all your family. We'll move on to agenda item number 7. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Satterley, second by Mr. Malonson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. Agenda item number 8, announcement of public hearing to adopt millage rates of the year 2015 to include the 10 meal tax for Fire Protection District number 3. And this notice is hereby given that the governing authority of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, will meet in regular session on Thursday, May 21st, 2015, at 6 p.m. at the Ascension Parish Courthouse, second floor, council chambers, 828 South Irma Boulevard, Gonzales, to hold a public hearing and adopt an ordinance levying the millage on the 2015 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by Ascension Parish government, to include the 10 meal tax for Fire Protection District number 3. We'll move to agenda item number 9. Introduction of ordinance to levy millage of the 2015 tax roll on property subject to taxation by Ascension Parish government.
Motion to introduce, Mr. Chairman.
A motion introduced by Mr. Todd Lambert,
Second.
second by Mr. Brian Malonson. Any discussion? Motion is introduced. We'll move on to our public hearing ordinances. Agenda item number 10, reading of an ordinance, budget amendment number 2 to amend the 2015 budget.
In ordinance to
Carrington.
amend the ordinance approving, adopting, appropriating 2015 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension, adopted by Ascension Parish Council on the 20th day of November 2014. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating 2015 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, recreation fund expenditures, and other financing uses transfer out to Park Construction Fund, 1.8 million. Lighting District number 6, expenditures and other financing uses transfer out of Lighting District's Construction Fund, 600,000. Capital budget, Park Construction Fund revenues and other financing sources transfer in from Recreation Fund, $1.8 million. Expenditures and other financing uses, engineering fees, 52,000. Contracts payment, $1,831,000. Revenues District Construction Fund revenues and other financing sources transfer in from Lighting District number 6, 600,000. Expenditures and other financing uses, engineering fees, $133,500. Contract payments, $1,110,000. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion open public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Chris Lord. We're open.
Motion closed.
Motion closed by Mr. Brian Malonson, second by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Moved ordinance. Mr.
Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Todd
Second.
Lambert, second by Mr. Brian Malonson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is moved. Agenda item number 13, reading of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to mixed use located on the south side of LA Highway 42, approximately 600 feet east of Manchac Point. Zoning review ID 2490.15.
This ordinance amends the official zoning designation for a partition of the estates of Florida as Cambry from medium-intensity residential to mixed-use corridors. This rezone is identified as zoning ID number 2490.15, portions of lot 3, 4, 5, and 6 of partition of the estate of Florida, Cambry. Whereas Ascension Parish Local Government Subdivision as defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing responsible body over the zoning and regulations within the jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. Whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted February 19th, 2015. Whereas the Ascension Parish Council reserves the authority to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance. Whereas this request has been processed and is compliant with the procedures set forth, be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority that the official zoning map of Ascension Parish, Louisiana is amended to reflect property identified as Exhibit A as mixed-use corridors as the official designation. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, independent, provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. The effect of the ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits of legal description, the plat map, the aerial and zoning map. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, open the public
Motion to
hearing.
open public hearing by
Second.
Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Ms. Terry Cazzo.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Mr. Doc Sadler,
Second.
second by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Move the ordinance.
Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Brian Malonson, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. We'll move on to agenda item number 16, reading of ordinance to provide for the incurring of debt and issuance of not to exceed $7,250,000 of revenue refunding bonds in one or more series of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana.
I'm assume that y'all gonna make a motion for me to read the amended
I'll make that
version of
motion,
this.
Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion for the amended version by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
An ordinance providing for incurring the debt and issuance of not to exceed $7,250,000 of revenue refunding bonds in one or more series of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, describing the form, terms, and conditions of said bonds, designated the date, denomination, and place of payment of said bonds, providing for the payment thereof in interest and principal, authorizing the agreement with the paying agent, and providing other matters in connection therewith. Whereas the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, the issuer has heretofore entered into a loan agreement dated as of November 1st, 2007, the 2007 loan agreement in conjunction with the issuance of the Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority, the authority of its $10,290,000 revenue bonds, Parish of Ascension Jail Expansion Project, Series 2007, of which approximately $7,595,000 is currently outstanding, the Series 2007 bonds. And whereas in order to provide debt service changes, the issuer acting through its governing authority, the Parish Council of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, the governing authority is authorized to and believes in the best interest to refund all of the portion of the 2007 bonds pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 14A of Title 39, Louisiana Revised Statute of 1950, as amended, Louisiana RS 39-1430, and other constitutional and statutory authority, collectively the Act. Through the issuance of refunding bonds as more fully described in Exhibit A, attached here to and made a part hereof, and whereas the issuer now desires to incur debt and issue not to exceed $7,250,000 in revenue refunding bonds, the bonds, in the manner authorized, provided by the Act, is hereinafter provided by the purpose of refunding all the portions of the Series 2007 bonds, funding reserve fund, or purchasing a reserve fund surety if necessary, and paying the cost of issue of the bonds. And whereas the bonds will be secured by and payable from the proceeds received from the issuer from 1% of the sales tax currently used being levied and collected by the issuer through the Ascension Parish Sales Rural Tax District, the tax revenues, and as revenues are insufficient from any other source, revenues and receipts of the issuer derived from any source whatsoever, as long as such income, revenues, and receipts are not legally dedicated for purposes incompatible with the authorized by the bonds. The unrestricted revenues, and together with tax revenues and the pledge revenues, and whereas the bonds will be issued on parity with issuers' outstanding obligations pursuant to a 2007 loan agreement relating to the Series 2007 bonds that were not refunded by the bonds, the unrefunded Series 2007 bonds. Whereas the State Bond Commission, by action taken on March 19, 2015, has given final approval for the issuance of the bonds. Whereas it desires the governing authority to fix the details necessary with respect to the issuance of the bonds and to provide for the authorization and issuance. Whereas it is further the desire of the governing authority to provide for the sale of the bonds at the price and in the manner provided herein. The foregoing ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows. The attachment is Exhibit A.
Motion to open the public hearing, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
to open public hearing by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sadler.
Motion to close.
Motion closed by Mr. Sadler, second by Ms. Cazzo.
Motion to move the ordinance.
Motion move ordinance by Mr. Brian Malonson,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So be it, passed. We'll move to agenda item number 19. Reading of ordinance to revoke a 150-foot drainage servitude and a 50-foot temporary construction servitude located on lot A1B, section 23, T9S R2E, Southeastern Land District, and to reestablish 25-foot permanent drainage servitude.
To revoke,
Mr. Perry.
purpose is to revoke a 150-foot drainage servitude and a 50-foot temporary construction servitude located on Lot A1B of Section 23, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Southeastern Land District, east of the Mississippi River in Ascension Parish, and to reestablish a 25-foot permanent drainage servitude on Lot A1B of Section 23, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Southeastern Land District, Land Development District, east of the Mississippi River in the parish, in Ascension Parish, Louisiana. Whereas the petition is petitioning the Ascension Parish Council to revoke the dedication of a 150-foot drainage servitude and a 50-foot temporary construction servitude located on Lot A1B of Section 23, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Southeastern Land District of the east of the Mississippi River in the parish, in Ascension Parish, Louisiana. Whereas the Drainage Department has reviewed and researched said request and has no objection to the revocation, provided a 25-foot permanent servitude is established on said lot in accordance with the plat marked as Exhibit A. Now therefore, in accordance with the Ascension Parish Governing Authority, that it grants approval of the revocation of 150-foot drainage servitude and 50-foot temporary construction servitude located on Lot A1B in Section 23, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Southeastern Land District, east of the Mississippi of Ascension Parish, Louisiana, more fully described on the plat attached hereto, made a part hereof as Exhibit A, provided the 25-foot permanent servitude is established on Lot A1B of Section 23, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Southeastern Land District, east of the Mississippi River of Ascension Parish, Louisiana. The ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Thanks, sir. Any motion to open public hearing by Mr. Brian Malonson, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Motion to close.
Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Doc Satterley. Second by Mr. Chris Lohr. Motion to move the ordinance.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Brian Malonson,
Second.
second by Mr. Sadler. Discussion, Mr. Todd Lambert.
On this particular ordinance, revoke, I see Bill came in. Are we okay with it with the Drainage Department revoking this 150-foot servitude? Yeah. Just want to make sure it ain't gonna get us in trouble down the road.
This was some of the servitude that we purchased back in the widening of Black Bayou.
Okay,
They have repaid us for that portion that's being revoked,
okay.
so the parish is not out any money.
So we all good, but,
We all good.
okay, appreciate it, Bill. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, sir. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 22, reading of ordinance DC 15-1, revision to Appendix 2 of the Unified Land Development Code pertaining to zoning districts.
Purpose of this ordinance is to revise language of section 17-2015, 17-2019, and 17-2020 in Appendix 2 of the Development Code, the Unified Land Development Code. Whereas Ascension Parish local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing responsible body within this jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Group Charter of Ascension Parish, adopted May 4th, 1993, identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. Whereas the code was incorporated in Appendix 2, Development Code of the Parish, Unified Land Development Code, adopted December 17, 2009. And be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that those sections 17-2015, 17-2019, and 17-2020 in the Appendix 4 of the Unified Land Development Code is hereby amended as follows. These changes are adopted as follows. See attached Appendix Exhibit 4, Section 17-25. 2015, Section 17, 2019, and 17, 2020 is Exhibit 1. In the event any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such shall be deemed separate and distinct and independent provisions shall not effectively the remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits are Appendix 2, Section 17, 2025, 17, 2019, and 17, 2020. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion, open public hearing, Mr.
A
Chairman.
motion to open public hearing by Mr. Todd Lambert,
Second.
second by Ms. Cazzo.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Brian Malonson,
Second.
second by Ms. Cazzo.
Motion to move the ordinance.
A motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Todd Lambert,
Brian.
second by Mr. Malonson. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Cazzo.
I just wanted to mention that I see under Conservation District C, Section B, The commentary states, "This district includes the most rural parts of the parish. These areas are not only environmentally fragile, they are served by roads which can handle large traffic increases."
Ricky, can you come up to the podium for a second? We probably have a little explanation on each portion of it.
I mean, do we have is that just I mean, shouldn't it say cannot handle large traffic increases?
So there's lots of errors in the code, and that would be one that you just found. It should be can't handle large traffic increases. That's just a typo.
Okay, just want to make sure while we're voting on it that we clear that up.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ricky, the question goes to you as well. I don't have strike-throughs or additional language on any of the things that are in Exhibit 1, be that 2015, 19, or 2020. What's different here than what we had in the code before asking for this change?
Right, I think the strike-through version was when it was introduced.
Yeah, last night.
Yeah, I don't have that from me. I can't remember, but.
No problem.
Could you point out?
Time flies when you're having fun. So 6 years ago, maybe, we had an applicant who wanted to build a drive-through liquor store in front of a subdivision. Because at that time, you could do up to 1,500 square feet of commercial in all zoning categories.
It's on Perkins Road.
Yes, sir. And at that time,
That's why I asked Mr. Compton so that my constituents can hear this. Thank you.
at that time, we went through the process and removed the ability to do commercial wherever people wanted to do it, just because it didn't make sense. The parish had advanced enough that that didn't make sense anymore. And this is what I like to call artifacts in the code, that it's inconsistent with changes that were made in another section, so it conflicts. The zoning tables, which I know you guys have seen several times in the last year, the zoning tables list all of the allowed uses within each zoning category. And those zoning tables are what we go by when somebody calls us and says, hey, my property is zoned X, can I do this? We look at the zoning table and say, no, you can't, or you can. The language that's in the code, the written part, conflicts with the zoning tables. And so all of this is trying to do is clean up those artifacts. Thankfully, Ms. Casso caught a little typo. We'll fix that as well. But it's really just cleaning up language that from revisions that were made, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The issue then is that right across the street from my home on Old Perkins, if they decided to do that drive-through daiquiri shop that they were contemplating, I believe you said 6 years ago, I'm not sure of the time frame, this will now discourage, if not preclude them from even making the request.
We eliminated that 6 years ago. They don't have that ability. Okay. This is just taking the language out. So in medium intensity residential, which is what that area would be zoned, today in the code, it says this district is designated for residential development, including multifamily dwellings, and it says subsections. That's another typo, which when we were doing this latest version of the code, we realized that the word subdivision was replaced every single time in the code with the word subsection. I'm not sure how nobody ever caught it, but it's been like that for years. So we're fixing those as we go as well. You cannot do multifamily in residential medium. That was removed before I got here. You just can't do it. This district exists largely outside the 100-year floodplain and in the northern part of the parish where planned water and sewer systems can support more intensive development. Commercial development in this district should be limited and located at highway intersections. You can't do that either unless it's zoned something else. So we're removing the language that conflicts with what the zoning table says you're allowed to do.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Mr. Malone, sir?
To amend the motion to.
Yeah, to say can. To say can, right.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion to.
We have amended motion to say can't by Mr. Malone, second by Mr. Lohr. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Yes. Any further discussion? All right. We're good. Motion passes. Before we adjourn, I just want to once again wish everyone a safe and happy holiday. And I want a special thanks to Officer Demi in the back, Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, you guys that look over. You got a strong weekend in front of you on these holiday weekends, I know that, looking over us. all the parish staff that comes to the meeting, every time we have a meeting, no matter what time and how long it lasts and how small your portion may be, toward the end of the meeting, you have to be called up. We thank you very much. The staff that takes care of this historic courthouse right here, that's so beautiful. Thank you guys very much. And our production crew that puts this meeting on and brings it out to the public. You guys do such a professional job. Wish everybody have a wonderful weekend. We'll move to agenda item number 25.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes, Mr. Shake Snyder.
I want to make sure we mention, our council secretary, Cinnamon, had a surgery today. She's doing fine, we're told, so we want to wish her well.
That's right. We wish Cinnamon all our best and speedy recovery and come on back. Mr. Todd Lambert, motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Lord. Any objection, any discussion? We are adjourned.